It's the poster child for extinction. A fat, clumsy bird that was supposedly too dumb to live. Its very name has become a punchline for being obsolete. But what if that story, the one we all think we know, is mostly wrong? What if this bird wasn't an evolutionary failure, but a tough survivor, perfectly built for its own world? And what if its story didn't really end in the 17th century? This is the real story of the dodo, from its first run-in with people to the wildly controversial mission to bring it back from the dead. The phrase, "as dead as a dodo," says it all. For centuries, the bird has been our cultural shorthand for something that's gone for good. That image was etched into our memory forever when a dodo character showed up in Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Carroll, who supposedly saw a bit of himself in the bird because of a stammer, helped make the dodo a whimsical, slightly tragic, and ultimately silly figure. This cartoonish image of a round, awkward creature became the version everyone knew. The dodo was a joke, a lesson about what happens when you're just too naive to survive. It became a symbol of foolishness, a cautionary tale for not being smart enough to adapt. But that caricature says more about our love for simple stories than it does about the actual animal. The truth, as science is showing us, is way more interesting. So, what was the dodo really like? First, you have to understand its home. For millions of years, the island of Mauritius was a paradise, isolated in the Indian Ocean. It lacked any native land predators, though it did have birds of prey and giant reptiles. In this unique world, a species of pigeon evolved into something completely new. This was the dodo, a flightless bird that stood about a meter tall and was perfectly adapted to its environment. And you can forget the fat, waddling cartoon. Detailed studies of dodo skeletons show a far more robust and athletic bird. It had powerful legs, suggesting it was surprisingly quick on the forest floor. It wasn't grotesquely overweight. It was a muscular, well-built giant pigeon made to thrive. Its most famous trait, its supposed foolishness, wasn't foolish at all. The dodo's trusting nature around humans made perfect sense for an animal that had never seen a predator. Why waste precious energy on fear when nothing in your world had ever tried to hunt you? Its lack of fear wasn't a sign of stupidity. It was a sign of incredible success. This was a creature that had so completely mastered its own world that it had forgotten how to be afraid. But then, people showed up, and everything changed. Around 1598, the first Dutch sailors landed on Mauritius, and the dodo met a new and deadly force: us. The bird's fearlessness made it tragically easy for sailors to hunt for a fresh meal after months at sea. But hunting was only part of the story, and maybe not even the main part. The real death knell for the dodo came from the creatures that scurried off the ships with the sailors. Invasive species, like rats, pigs, and monkeys, swarmed an island that had never known them, triggering an ecological disaster. The dodo had evolved to nest on the ground, a strategy that was perfectly safe for millions of years. But these new animals were experts at raiding nests. It's believed that dodos laid only a single, precious egg in each nesting attempt, and they simply stood no chance. Their young were eaten before they could even hatch. Their food was eaten by the new animals, and their forests were cleared for settlements. It was a war on two fronts. The humans hunted the adults, while their animal companions wiped out the next generation. The dodo's once stable population collapsed with terrifying speed. Within about a century of first sustained contact with humans, the dodo was gone. Statistical analysis suggests the last of them disappeared around 1690, and the world lost one of its most unique creatures. The dodo's disappearance was more than just the loss of a species. It was a turning point. It became one of the first and most iconic animals whose extinction was recorded in writing as being caused by humans. The idea that only God could erase a species was gone. For the first time, humanity had to face its own destructive power. The bird became a symbol of finality, but ironically, almost no complete specimens of the dodo survived from that time. While a few fragments were sent to Europe in the 17th century, most decayed over time. The most famous of these are a mummified head and foot at the Oxford University Museum of Natural History. However, a wealth of other skeletal remains and subfossil bones are held in museums in London, Copenhagen, Dublin, and beyond. This scarcity just made us more fascinated. The lack of a complete picture let myths run wild, but it also drove a scientific hunt for the truth. For more than 300 years, the dodo was a ghost, pieced together from bones and sailors' tall tales. That's where the story used to end. Dead as a dodo meant gone forever. But what if it doesn't have to? Right now, in a lab in Dallas, a story once confined to history books is being rewritten as science fiction. A biotech company called Colossal Biosciences is on an audacious quest to do the unthinkable. Bring back the dodo. This isn't Jurassic Park. The process is a marvel of modern genetics. The first huge leap was made by a team led by paleogeneticist Beth Shapiro, who successfully sequenced the dodo's entire genome from fragments of ancient DNA. With the dodo's genetic blueprint in hand, the next challenge was finding a living relative to work with. That role falls to the dodo's closest living relative, the Nicobar pigeon. The plan isn't to clone, but to create a proxy dodo, a genetically engineered lookalike. Scientists will use CRISPR gene editing to tweak the DNA of a Nicobar pigeon, giving it the dodo's key traits, like its size and flightlessness. For years, a huge roadblock was the sheer difficulty of working with bird genetics. But in a pivotal breakthrough, scientists at Colossal announced they had managed to culture pigeon primordial germ cells, the precursor cells that make sperm and eggs. This achievement opened the door. The plan now is to edit these pigeon cells, inject them into a surrogate host like a sterile chicken or pigeon, which will then produce eggs containing the edited dodo DNA. If it all works, the offspring of these surrogates will be the first dodo-like creatures to walk the earth in nearly 400 years. Colossal's CEO, Ben Lamb, has made optimistic projections that the return of the dodo could be just 5 to 7 years away. But bringing an animal to life in a lab is only half the battle. What happens next? You can't just release thousands of dodos and cross your fingers. The company is working directly with the Mauritian Wildlife Foundation to plan the dodo's homecoming. The same threats that killed off the dodo, especially invasive predators, still exist on Mauritius. Any reintroduction would have to be a slow, careful process, probably starting on smaller, predator-free islands where native habitats are being restored. Of course, the project has its critics. Some argue that the millions being poured into de-extinction would be better spent saving the countless species that are on the brink of extinction today. They question the ethics of creating what some call a faux dodo, a genetically engineered copy, not the real thing. But its champions see a much bigger picture. They argue that the cutting-edge tech being developed for the dodo could be a game-changer for conservation, giving us new tools to help save critically endangered species by restoring lost genetic diversity. For them, the dodo is more than just a spectacle. It's an ambassador, a charismatic icon that could inspire a new wave of conservation and help fund the habitat restoration needed to make its own home safe again. So, the story of the dodo has come full circle. It's no longer a simple tale of a dumb bird that got what it deserved. It's the story of a perfectly adapted survivor, ambushed by forces it never could have seen coming. And now, its story is entering a new, wildly uncertain chapter. The dodo has gone from being the ultimate symbol of permanent loss to a potential icon of technological resurrection. The quest to bring it back is more than just a scientific long shot. It forces us to ask huge questions about our role on this planet, our power to both destroy and create, and what we owe to the past and the future. The comeback of the dodo isn't just about one bird. It's about what we choose to do with the incredible power we now have. What do you think? Should we bring back the dodo and other extinct species? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more stories about our amazing natural world, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell.